On the night of October 17, 2049, every clock on Earth stopped at exactly 11:47 p.m. Nobody knew why. Phones froze. Satellites lost synchronization. Even atomic clocks, the most accurate timekeeping devices ever built, stopped advancing. For 12 terrifying seconds, the entire world stood still. Then time resumed. Most people forgot about it by morning. Governments didn't. Inside a secure underground facility beneath Chicago, physicist Daniel Hayes stared at a classified report that had just arrived from CERN. His hands were shaking. The report contained only one sentence: the anomaly originated from the future. Daniel read it 3 times. The words never changed. Across the table sat Dr. Sarah Morgan, head of temporal research. She looked exhausted. "We've confirmed it," she said quietly. Daniel frowned. "Confirmed what?" Sarah slid another file across the table. Inside were satellite images. At first glance they looked ordinary. Then Daniel noticed the train. A silver train moving across the Nevada desert. The problem was simple. There were no train tracks. And no train should have been there. The object appeared on satellites for exactly 12 seconds, the same 12 seconds when every clock on Earth stopped. Then it vanished. Daniel looked up. "What am I looking at?" Sarah took a deep breath. "A vehicle." "What kind of vehicle?" She hesitated. Then answered. "A vehicle from the year 3120. Silence filled the room. Daniel laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it was impossible. But Sarah wasn't smiling. Neither were the military officers standing near the door. Then she opened a video file. Static filled the screen. A silver train appeared. Its surface glowed with blue symbols. The camera zoomed closer. And Daniel's heart nearly stopped. There were people looking through the windows. Passengers. Hundreds of them. All staring directly at the camera. As if they knew they were being watched. Then one passenger stood. A young woman. Dark hair. Pale face. Terrified eyes. She pressed both hands against the glass. And mouthed 3 words. "Don't let it arrive." The recording ended. Nobody spoke. Daniel finally whispered, "Arrive where?" Sarah slowly turned toward the Nevada map displayed on the wall. A single red circle blinked in the middle of the desert. "The train returns in 72 hours. And according to every model we have." Her voice trembled. "If it reaches the station." She looked directly at Daniel. "The future ends. The future ends." Those words stayed in Daniel's mind long after the meeting. 72 hours. That was all humanity had left. Inside the underground facility, scientists worked non-stop trying to understand the impossible train. Nobody knew who built it. Nobody knew where it came from. And nobody knew why its arrival could destroy the future. Daniel spent hours analyzing the satellite footage. At first everything looked normal. Then he noticed something strange. The train's shadow. It wasn't matching the direction of the desert sunlight. He zoomed in. His heart began racing. The shadow was pointing somewhere else. As if another sun existed beyond reality. Daniel immediately called Sarah. Minutes later she arrived. He pointed at the screen. "Look at this." Sarah stared silently. Then her face turned pale. "The train isn't just traveling through time." She looked at him. "It's bringing something with it." Before Daniel could respond, alarms suddenly filled the facility. Red emergency lights flashed everywhere. A military officer rushed into the room. "We've got another appearance." Everyone froze. "What?" The officer pointed toward the main display. "The train is back." Satellite feeds appeared instantly. Nevada desert. The silver train stood motionless in the darkness. This time it remained visible for nearly 30 seconds. Military drones were immediately deployed. Thousands of people inside government facilities watched the live feed. The first drone approached carefully. The train looked silent. Empty. Then the camera moved alongside the passenger cars. Numbers were painted on each car. The first read, 2049. Daniel frowned. The next car displayed, 2068. Then another. 2181, then another. 2475, the room fell silent. Every car represented a year. The train wasn't carrying passengers. It was carrying time itself. Then the lead drone reached the engine. Written across the front in glowing blue letters were 3 words. The last arrival. Suddenly every light on the train turned on. Hundreds of passengers appeared behind the windows. Some were crying. Some were screaming. Others desperately pounded against the glass, trying to escape. Then an elderly man stepped forward. He held up a sheet of paper. 3 words were written across it. Stop the station. The room froze. Then the train whistle sounded. A terrifying sound echoed across the desert. Every monitor inside the facility flickered. Several screens shattered instantly. The satellite feed went black. For 3 long seconds nobody could see anything. When the signal returned, the train was gone. But something remained. Railroad tracks. Fresh steel tracks stretched across the Nevada desert. And according to satellite data, they were growing longer every minute. The tracks were growing longer every minute. Daniel watched the satellite feed in silence. Across the Nevada desert, steel rails were appearing from nothing. No construction machines. No workers. No sound. 1 second the sand was empty. The next second, tracks existed. Sarah stood beside him, her face pale. They're building a path. Daniel nodded slowly. For the train. A military engineer entered the room carrying a tablet. We analyzed the metal. Sarah turned. And? The engineer swallowed. It isn't from Earth. Nobody spoke. He continued. The alloy contains elements we haven't discovered yet. Daniel looked back at the screen. The tracks were not just appearing. They were heading somewhere. Where do they end? He asked. The engineer hesitated. That's the problem. He placed the route on the main display. The red line stretched across the desert and stopped near an abandoned town called Blackwell. Daniel frowned. I've never heard of it. Sarah's voice lowered. Because it doesn't exist anymore. She opened an old government file. Blackwell, Nevada. Population, 1,206. Abandoned in 1979 after a classified rail accident. No survivors. No official explanation. Daniel stared at the file. A rail accident? Sarah nodded. According to the report, a train entered Blackwell Station. She paused. And never came out. Before Daniel could respond, every light in the facility flickered. The monitors switched on by themselves. A new video appeared. Blackwell Station. Old. Dusty. Empty. Then a sign above the platform lit up. Next arrival, 47 hours. Daniel felt his chest tighten. The station was waiting. And somewhere in the darkness beyond time, the train was already on its way. Next arrival, 47 hours. The words glowed on the old station sign. Daniel stared at the screen. Blackwell Station had been abandoned for 70 years. There was no power there. No working systems. No lights. Yet somehow, the sign was counting down. Sarah immediately gave the order. We're going to Blackwell. 6 hours later, Daniel stood in the middle of the Nevada desert. The abandoned town looked dead. Empty houses leaned against the wind. Old cars rusted beside cracked roads. Dust covered everything. But Blackwell Station was different. The building looked untouched, as if time had avoided it. The platform lights flickered softly. The rails outside the station were brand new. Daniel stepped closer. The air felt colder near the tracks. Sarah scanned the station walls. There are no electrical lines. Daniel looked at the glowing sign. Then what's powering it? Nobody answered. Inside the station, old benches sat covered in dust. A ticket booth stood near the entrance. Behind the glass, something moved. Daniel froze. Sarah. A shadow passed behind the booth. One of the soldiers raised his weapon. Show yourself. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the booth speaker crackled. A child's voice whispered through it. Don't miss the train. The lights went out. When they returned, a ticket lay on the counter. Daniel slowly picked it up. His name was printed on it. Daniel Hayes. Destination, tomorrow. Departure, 11:47 p.m. Daniel looked at Sarah. Before either could speak, the station clock began ticking. For the first time in 70 years, Blackwell Station was waking up. Blackwell Station was waking up. The old clock above the platform ticked louder with every second. Daniel held the ticket in his hand. His name was printed perfectly. Not typed. Not stamped. Printed like the station had been expecting him. Sarah took the ticket and examined it. This wasn't here before. Daniel nodded. I know. The soldiers searched the ticket booth. No child. No footprints. No hidden speaker. Nothing. Then one of them shouted from the far end of the platform. Commander, you need to see this. Daniel and Sarah rushed over. Behind the station, half buried in the sand, stood an old passenger car. It looked like it had been there for decades. Rust covered the metal. The windows were black. But the door was open. Inside, the air smelled like smoke and rain. Daniel stepped in first. Rows of empty seats stretched into darkness. Old newspapers covered the floor. Sarah picked one up. The date made her freeze. October 18, 2049. Tomorrow's date. Daniel slowly turned toward the back of the car. Something was written on the wall. Not in paint. Scratched into the metal. The train only stops for the dead. A cold wind moved through the car. Then the door slammed shut. The lights flickered on. And every empty seat was suddenly occupied. Passengers stared at Daniel in silence. Their faces were pale. Their eyes were hollow. Then the child's voice whispered again. Your seat is waiting. Your seat is waiting. The child's voice echoed through the passenger car. Daniel's heart pounded. Every seat around him was occupied. Yet moments ago, the car had been empty. The passengers sat perfectly still. No blinking. No movement. No sound. Just staring. Watching. Waiting. Sarah slowly raised her flashlight. The beam passed across the passengers' faces. Several soldiers gasped. Daniel felt cold spread through his body. He recognized them. Newspaper articles. Historical photographs. Missing person reports. The faces belonged to people who had vanished across different decades. A woman missing in 1987. A pilot lost in 2003. A scientist who disappeared in 2028. All sitting together. Inside the same train car. Then one passenger stood. An old man wearing a railway uniform. His badge was covered in rust. The nameplate read, Conductor Wilson. The old man looked directly at Daniel. "You shouldn't be here yet." Daniel swallowed hard. "What is this place?" The conductor smiled sadly. "A waiting room." "For what?" The conductor glanced toward the dark end of the car. "For tomorrow." Silence filled the compartment. Then suddenly every passenger turned toward the windows. At the exact same moment, as if responding to something outside, the conductor's smile vanished. "It's early." Daniel frowned. "What is?" The old man looked terrified. "The train." A distant whistle echoed across the desert. Long, deep. Unnatural. The passengers immediately stood from their seats. One by one. Without speaking. Without blinking. The entire train car began shaking. Outside the windows, blue light appeared across the desert. Sarah grabbed Daniel's arm. "We need to leave." Nobody argued. The soldiers rushed toward the exit. The moment they stepped outside, the passenger car vanished. Gone. As if it had never existed. Only desert remained. The platform alarm suddenly activated. The countdown sign changed. Next arrival, 36 hours. Then another message appeared beneath it. A message nobody wanted to see. Passengers required, 204. The station lights flickered. The whistle sounded again. Closer this time. Much closer. And somewhere beyond the horizon, something was already moving toward Blackwell Station. Passengers required, 204. The message glowed on the station sign. Nobody spoke. Nobody needed to. Everyone understood what it meant. The train wasn't coming to transport people. It was coming to collect them. Back at the command center, panic spread through the government. Military officials demanded answers. Scientists demanded evacuation. But no one knew how to stop something that traveled through time itself. Daniel couldn't stop thinking about the passengers. The missing people. The conductor. The waiting room. Then another discovery changed everything. A research team searching Blackwell's archives found an old photograph. The picture was taken in 1979. The day the town was abandoned. Daniel stared at it. His blood ran cold. The train stood at the platform. Exactly the same as it appeared today. The same silver cars. The same blue symbols. The same impossible design. But that wasn't what terrified him. A man stood beside the train. Smiling at the camera. Daniel recognized him instantly. It was himself. The room fell silent. Sarah looked at him. "That's impossible." Daniel nodded slowly. The photograph was 70 years old, yet the man looked exactly like him. Not older. Not younger. Exactly the same. Then another image was discovered. This one from 1924. Again the train appeared. Again Daniel appeared beside it. Then another. Again. Same face. Same man. The same Daniel Hayes. Sarah stared at the photographs. "What are we looking at?" Nobody answered. Because nobody wanted to say it. Then Daniel noticed something written on the back of the oldest photograph. A message. In his own handwriting. "If you find this, don't board the train." His hands began shaking. Because he had never written those words. At least, not yet. Then every screen in the facility suddenly activated. The station cameras. Blackwell platform. A figure stood alone beneath the countdown sign. Dark coat. Hat. Railway uniform. The old conductor. He slowly looked directly into the camera. Then spoke. "Daniel." The room froze. The conductor smiled. "The train remembers you. The transmission ended. Seconds later, the countdown changed again. Next arrival, 24 hours. And beneath it, a second line appeared. 1 passenger already reserved. 1 passenger already reserved. The words remained on the screen. Daniel couldn't look away. His stomach tightened. Reserved. The train already knew who it wanted. And deep down, he knew it was him. The next morning, Blackwell Station was surrounded by military forces. Tanks. Drones. Helicopters. Hundreds of armed soldiers. The government wasn't taking chances. If the train appeared, they would stop it. Or at least try. Daniel stood on the platform staring at the tracks. They were longer now. Much longer. The rails stretched beyond the horizon, disappearing into a strange blue mist that hadn't existed before. Sarah walked beside him. "You didn't sleep." Daniel shook his head. Neither had she. Then a scientist came running toward them. His face was pale. "Dr. Hayes, we found something." Minutes later, Daniel stood inside the station archives. A hidden room had been discovered beneath the building. Inside were dozens of photographs. Thousands of documents. And one large map. The map showed train routes. Not across countries. Across years. The rails connected different points in history. 1881, 1882. 1883, 1884. 1885, 1886. 1887. Daniel stared in disbelief. The train wasn't moving through time. It was connecting it. Then he noticed a file sitting alone in the center of the table. A file marked, Passenger 204. His hands trembled as he opened it. Inside was a photograph. His photograph. Taken yesterday. Below it was a ticket. Exactly like the one he had received. And beneath the ticket were 4 words. Final passenger confirmed. The room went silent. Then every light in the station suddenly died. Complete darkness. Outside, a train whistle echoed across the desert. Closer than ever before. The windows shook. The ground trembled. And for the first time, Daniel heard the sound of wheels moving across the tracks. The train wasn't coming tomorrow anymore. It was coming now. The train wasn't coming tomorrow anymore. It was coming now. The sound echoed across the Nevada desert. Metal wheels grinding against steel. A distant whistle cutting through the darkness. Every soldier on the platform turned toward the horizon. The blue mist covering the tracks was growing thicker. Then a light appeared. One single light. Far away. Moving toward Blackwell Station. Daniel felt his heart racing. The train had arrived. Military commanders immediately issued the order. Hold positions. Dozens of drones lifted into the air. Missile systems locked onto the target. Snipers covered every angle. The entire world's attention focused on the approaching light. Then the impossible happened. Every clock stopped. Again. 11:47 p.m. Exactly the same as before. Phones froze. Computers locked up. Satellites stopped transmitting. Time itself seemed to hesitate. Only the train continued moving. Closer. 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 The blue mist rolled across the platform. The station lights flickered violently. And then everyone saw it. The last train. Its silver body reflected no light. Its windows glowed with an eerie blue color. Ancient symbols flowed across its surface like liquid fire. The train slowly entered Blackwell Station. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The engine stopped directly in front of Daniel. The doors opened. A cold wind rushed outward. Inside stood hundreds of passengers. Silent. Watching. Waiting. Then the conductor stepped out. His uniform looked older than history itself. He walked calmly across the platform. Past the soldiers. Past the tanks. Past the drones. Nobody could stop him. It was as if reality itself bent around him. Finally he stopped in front of Daniel. "You took longer this time." Daniel stared at him. "What are you talking about?" The conductor smiled. 168 years longer. Cold spread through Daniel's body. Then the conductor handed him a photograph. Daniel looked down. His hand started shaking. The picture showed Blackwell Station. The train. The passengers. And himself. Standing beside the conductor. The date at the bottom read, October 18, 2217. A future that had not happened yet. Daniel looked up. "What is this?" The conductor's smile faded. "A memory." The platform suddenly trembled. A loud metallic sound echoed from inside the train. The passengers became restless. For the first time, fear appeared on their faces. The conductor turned toward the train. His expression changed. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Then a voice echoed from the last passenger car. Not human. Not mechanical. Ancient. Hungry. And terrifying. He found the station. The conductor slowly closed his eyes. Because whatever was speaking, wasn't supposed to be on the train. He found the station. The voice echoed from the last passenger car. The platform fell silent. Every passenger turned toward the rear of the train. Fear filled their faces. Real fear. The conductor looked terrified. For the first time since Daniel had met him, the old man seemed helpless. Daniel took a step forward. "Who found the station?" The conductor didn't answer immediately. His eyes remained fixed on the final car. Then he whispered, "The passenger." A deep metallic sound echoed from inside the train. The lights flickered. Several windows shattered instantly. The passengers began moving away from the rear cars. Trying to create distance. Trying to escape. Daniel stared in confusion. "They're afraid of one passenger." The conductor slowly shook his head. "No." His voice trembled. "They're afraid of what's wearing the passenger." A chill ran through Daniel's body. Suddenly every screen across Blackwell Station activated. Ancient monitors. Broken terminals. Even dead equipment that hadn't worked in decades. A single image appeared everywhere. A man sitting alone inside the last car. Head lowered. Hands folded. Motionless. The image zoomed closer. Daniel's blood turned cold. The man looked exactly like him. Same face. Same eyes. Same scar above his eyebrow. It was Daniel. Or something pretending to be him. The figure slowly lifted its head. Then smiled. The station lights exploded. Glass rained across the platform. Several soldiers collapsed unconscious. The air itself felt heavier. As if reality was bending around the train. Then the figure inside the last car spoke. Its voice came through every speaker on Earth. "Hello, Daniel." The real Daniel froze. The thing smiled wider. "I've been waiting for you." The conductor stepped between Daniel and the train. "You cannot leave the last car." The figure laughed. A horrible sound. Like thousands of voices speaking together. Then the passengers began screaming. Every person inside the train rushed away from the rear car. Some pounded on windows. Others cried. Several fell to their knees. The conductor turned toward Daniel. His face was pale. "You need to understand something." "What?" The old man looked directly into his eyes. The train was never carrying passengers through time. Daniel's heart pounded. Then what is it carrying? The conductor glanced toward the last car. Toward the thing wearing Daniel's face. Then he gave the answer. The train is a prison. Lightning flashed across the desert. The ground shook violently. And inside the final passenger car, the door slowly began opening. The door to the last passenger car slowly opened. A freezing wind swept across Blackwell Station. Every light flickered. Every screen cracked. The passengers backed away in terror. The conductor stood perfectly still. Daniel couldn't move. Inside the last car, darkness spilled onto the platform. Not shadow. Not smoke. Something alive. Something wrong. Then a figure stepped out. It looked exactly like Daniel. Same height. Same face. Same eyes. But there was something unnatural about it. Its smile. Its movements. Its presence. It felt like reality itself was rejecting it. The thing looked around the station. Then took a deep breath. As beautiful as I remember. The voice echoed from every direction. Daniel felt cold. What are you? The figure laughed. You already know. No, I don't. The smile widened. I'm what survives when time dies. Silence consumed the platform. Then the conductor finally spoke. Passenger 0. The figure nodded. That's one of my names. Daniel looked at the conductor. What is he? The old man lowered his eyes. He's the reason the train exists. Lightning flashed above the desert. The train trembled. Passenger 0 slowly walked across the platform. Nobody dared stop him. Not the soldiers. Not the scientists. Not even the conductor. Then he pointed toward the tracks. The station is almost complete. Daniel frowned. What station? Passenger 0 smiled. The one at the end of time. Suddenly memories exploded inside Daniel's head. Thousands of them. Cities collapsing. Stars disappearing. Entire centuries erased. And at the center of it all, the train. Always moving. Always collecting. Always carrying something forward. Daniel stumbled backward. The conductor caught him. He's showing you. Showing me what? The old man's face turned pale. The future. Daniel looked up. Passenger 0 was standing at the edge of the platform now. Watching the horizon. Then another train whistle echoed across the desert. Everyone froze. A second whistle answered it. Then a third. Then a fourth. The passengers began screaming. The conductor looked horrified. No. Daniel turned. What is it? The old man whispered, there should only be one train. Across the desert, lights appeared. Not one. Not two. Dozens. Dozens of trains were emerging from the darkness, each moving toward Blackwell Station. Each carrying passengers. Each arriving from a different future. Passenger 0 smiled. The convergence has begun. Then every clock on Earth stopped once again. 11:47 p.m. And this time, they did not restart. Every clock on Earth stopped. 11:47 p.m. And this time, they did not restart. Inside Blackwell Station, time became unstable. Soldiers froze mid-step. Drones hung motionless in the air. Dust stopped falling. But Daniel could still move. So could Sarah. So could the conductor. And so could Passenger 0. Across the desert, dozens of trains rolled toward the station. Each one silver. Each one glowing with blue symbols. Each one carrying terrified passengers from a different future. Sarah whispered, "This is impossible." The conductor looked toward the arriving trains. No. His voice was heavy. This is what happens when the prison fails. Daniel turned to him. Why do they all look the same? The conductor answered quietly. Because every future ends the same way. Silence. Daniel stared at the distant lights. Every possible future. Every timeline. Every version of tomorrow. All arriving at one place. Blackwell Station. Passenger Zero smiled. You finally understand. Daniel looked at him. You destroyed the future. Passenger Zero shook his head. No, Daniel. A pause. I am the future. Suddenly the station platform cracked open. Blue light erupted from beneath the tracks. The rails began shifting. Rearranging. Connecting. The station was transforming. Not into a building. Into a gateway. The conductor stepped closer to Daniel. You were brought here for one reason. Daniel's heart pounded. What reason? To choose which future survives. Before Daniel could answer, the first new train arrived. Its doors opened. Inside were children. Families. Old people. All staring at him with desperate eyes. Then the second train arrived. Then the third. Then the fourth. Thousands of passengers. All from futures that were about to die. Passenger Zero raised his arms. Choose, Daniel. The sky above Nevada tore open. Beyond it, Daniel saw endless tracks stretching into darkness. And at the end of those tracks, something enormous was waiting. Something enormous was waiting at the end of the tracks. Daniel couldn't fully see it. The thing existed beyond distance. Beyond time. A shape so vast that his mind struggled to understand it. The moment he looked directly at it, reality around him flickered. Passenger Zero smiled. Beautiful, isn't it? Daniel immediately looked away. The sky above Blackwell Station continued tearing open. More tracks appeared. More trains arrived. Hundreds of futures were converging into one place. The conductor stepped beside Daniel. You don't have much time. Daniel looked at the passengers. Thousands of people filled the station now. Families. Children. Entire generations. All waiting. All depending on him. What happens if I choose a future? The conductor remained silent for a moment. Then answered. Every other future disappears. The words hit Daniel like a punch. Sarah stared at him. How many futures are there? The conductor looked toward the endless trains. Billions. Silence. Daniel felt sick. No matter what he did, countless lives would be erased. Passenger Zero began walking toward the center of the station. The ground beneath him glowed blue. The decision was made long ago. Daniel frowned. What decision? Passenger Zero stopped. Then pointed directly at him. You. Suddenly another memory exploded inside Daniel's mind. He saw himself standing in Blackwell Station. Not today. Not tomorrow. Thousands of years in the future. Older. Wiser. Alone. The station was empty. The trains were gone. Only one track remained. And future Daniel was speaking directly to him. If you're seeing this. The memory flickered. Then Passenger Zero escaped. Daniel felt cold. The future version of himself continued. The train was created to imprison him. The station around future Daniel began collapsing. Stars vanished from the sky. Reality itself was dying. Then came the final message. Do not save me. The vision ended. Daniel staggered backward. Passenger Zero was watching him. Smiling. Because he knew exactly what Daniel had seen. The conductor lowered his head. You understand now. Daniel slowly nodded. Passenger Zero wasn't a passenger. He wasn't a prisoner. He was the reason the prison existed. And if he escaped Blackwell Station, every future would belong to him. The sky cracked wider. The enormous thing beyond the tracks began moving. Passenger Zero smiled. The last train is leaving soon. Then the station sign changed one final time. Final departure, 3 minutes. 3 minutes remained. Final departure, 3 minutes. The countdown glowed above Blackwell Station. 3 minutes remained. Thousands of passengers stood silently beside the tracks. Passenger Zero smiled. The enormous shape beyond the torn sky moved closer. Stars vanished wherever it looked. The conductor stepped forward. Daniel. If Passenger Zero boards the last train, every future becomes his. Daniel nodded. He already knew. The train wasn't a vehicle. It was a prison. And Passenger Zero was the prisoner. The countdown changed. 2 minutes, Sarah grabbed Daniel's arm. There has to be another way. Daniel looked at her sadly. There isn't. Then another memory surfaced. His final memory. The reason every version of Daniel had appeared throughout history. He was never supposed to stop the train. He was supposed to become its conductor. The realization hit him like lightning. The conductor smiled. You finally remember. Daniel looked at the old man. How long have you been here? The conductor laughed softly. I stopped counting centuries ago. Then he removed his conductor's badge. Daniel froze. The name engraved on it read, Daniel Hayes. The old conductor had been him all along, a future version. The last guardian of the train. The countdown continued. 1 minute, Passenger Zero finally stopped smiling. Because he understood. You're going to replace him. Daniel nodded. Passenger Zero stepped backward. Fear appeared in his eyes. The station began shaking. The last train released a long whistle. Its doors opened. Blue light flooded the platform. Passenger Zero turned toward the train. Trying to escape. But Daniel stepped between him and freedom. The conductor's badge appeared in his hand. The moment he touched it, every track glowed. Every train whistle echoed together. Every future aligned. Passenger Zero screamed. But it was too late. The prison had chosen its new keeper. The countdown reached 0. Midnight, the last train departed. A wave of blue light swept across reality. Time restarted. Clocks across Earth began moving again. 11:47 p.m. became 11:48 p.m. Humanity survived. But Daniel Hayes was gone. Weeks later, Blackwell Station was found abandoned. No trains. No tracks. No evidence. Only a single photograph remained. It showed a silver train beneath a star-filled sky. And beside it stood a conductor, watching the tracks. Waiting. Protecting tomorrow. The name on his badge read, Daniel Hayes. And somewhere beyond time, the last train continued its endless journey.